What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the On the Runs podcast. We're recording from Erica's couch in her living room. We're getting a little comfy today versus that table the last few times. We had a wicked awesome weekend, and we're about to get into, and we're thankful that today's a recovery day. Miss 369, Erica Hamill, how are you doing?
Damn, she fine. No, I'm doing pretty good. A little bit sore today, but for good reason. We'll talk about that soon. But beautiful day. Had the day off today. Didn't have to work.
Lucky for you, I went to work today, and I am sore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I slept till 10:30. I got a solid, I would say 11 hours of sleep today. It was great. It was glorious.
I took a nap last night at 5 o'clock. I mean, so I did a ton of yard work all weekend and fit in a half marathon.
Yeah, you were go, go, go.
I know.
I don't know how you do that.
So I was sore. After my nap, I got in the boots once the kids went down. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I had 2 hours of boots time yesterday, and the torture device Theragun that I have right there.
I need a Theragun. I'm going to use that
great,
after
man.
this.
Yeah, I'll let you.
So we are in your living room.
We are.
We're on the couch. We're comfortable. Let's tell everyone what we see around us. I don't see any running memorabilia, not like last time.
I got some pictures. Well, so up there on my bookshelf, that's my Anchor Down trophy that I won for getting first in my age group.
First and only ever trophy.
Yeah, so far. Actually, I have gotten an age group. Well, not an age group award, but for the that half marathon I did back in February.
Your Philly division.
Yep. So I've gotten a couple of random awards here and there, but that is my first actual trophy. Yeah, downstairs is where I keep all the memorabilia. But I've got we've got our Xbox and TV stuff and tons of movies and
I see some movies, some PlayStation games, true crime.
See, that's all Brandon's crap. I don't know.
You got a lot. You got the whole Entourage season.
See, this was all before everything came out on digital, so I haven't actually bought any movies in a long, long time.
Look, I can tell the difference. Those are DVDs and those are Blu-rays, and neither of them really exist anymore.
Nope, don't really need them, but I don't want to get rid of them.
Those are probably from college.
Oh,
you could probably make some money selling them.
I could, I'm sure, but that's for another day.
All right, well, let's get into, I see your snacky snacks.
Oh, we got lots of snacky snacks.
Yeah.
This is like the snacky snack central.
Yeah.
Downstairs has a bunch, too, because Brandon just bought a new TV.
All right, let's get into our weekend. All right, first thing, Saturday morning, we did our live Peloton ride. I'm
kind of regretting that I got up and did that. I did not taper very well for this marathon that I did.
You did the 75-minute ride, and then you did a 45-minute Bex run.
So I jumped in late to the live run. I only wound up doing about half an hour, and I walked it. So that wasn't bad, but I did not taper well for the marathon.
Then
yesterday,
I did my milestone ride, 300.
Yes, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. I did not get a call out, but that's okay. They didn't play my song. I tried, but you know what? There'll be many more opportunities.
Yes, there will be.
500, I think I'll get it.
Let's hope so.
I've yet to have a call. You had a bunch of call outs.
Well, that's because I do the runs, and they have significantly less people doing the runs.
There was easily 2,500 people on that live ride Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah.
And we had over 50 people from the Wicked Smart Zone team.
And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on, just for giving out high fives. The community's so much fun.
I got a dozen high fives from you and a dozen from Josh and then a few others. And I'm just there, that little light goes red and I have to open it again and see who high five.
I just keep my list open.
And I close I pretty much move everything aside except my heart rate.
Oh.
So I don't see anything.
You don't even keep the leaderboard open?
Nope, I close it.
Wow. I just do it for the high fives, yeah.
Sometimes I open, so I will go in the beginning of the ride, you got a minute. I will go filter Power Zone Pack or Wicked Smart Zones, and I'll go high five. I hand them a bunch of high fives right then, and then maybe near the end I'll do it or in the middle during a break.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, but I swipe it to the side.
Do you get a little too competitive if you leave the leaderboard open?
No, I don't, because you know what? I believe every bike's a little different. And if I only look at one thing, I look at what my PR was and where I am on track with that.
I do like to do that. If I retake a class, I'll compete with myself and see where I'm at.
Yes.
So that's a lot of fun to do.
100%, especially if it's a class I'm into. And sometimes, like this time, I reset my PRs.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I reset it to the date the Power Zone pack started, or a few weeks before.
Okay.
Because the bike at work I use, when I do a ride, zone 3 on that bike is zone 2.
Oh,
every bike is a little different in my mind. I can do a Power Zone Max ride at work, and I feel like I'm cheating because I'm not really working as hard as I should, because doing 200 watts maybe on that bike is easier than doing 200 on mine at home. Every bike's a little different.
I get it.
right, so I think we got to talk about yesterday's race, right?
Yes, we do.
Let's get into it. All right, yesterday, on Sunday, we ran in the cheap marathon. I ran in the cheap half. You ran in the cheap marathon. So you got there early. Tell me all about your race.
Oh, man. I got up before the crack of dawn because I wanted to get a good parking spot, to be honest.
You did. You had rock star parking.
I did. That's because I got there. Well, that was past the crack of dawn, but it was really early. I got up way earlier than I needed to. But yeah, it was convenient and it was right by the finish line. So I wanted to be able to just get in my car and head out.
How long were you there before you actually started?
I think it was like an hour and a half early. Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot earlier than it needed to be.
Just sit in the car?
Yes.
Listen to the playlist, warm up?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So it was cold.
Oh my gosh. I had to defrost my car. It was, I think, 30 degrees. So I was kind of rethinking wearing the shorts that everybody voted for. So thanks again to everybody who voted for my outfit on the Run stories the other day.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Millennium Running shared it like within minutes.
I did see that, yes.
And we had a ton of action.
Yep.
We had about, I would say, you can see who looks at your story, and I could see like 50 people looked at it, and maybe only 17 voted, but that's 17 is pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. So
Yeah.
I got a couple of like offline votes for the pink outfit. So
You
pink
did.
it was.
You did.
But yeah, the shorts, I was like, probably should have gone with a pair of pants, but it did warm up after a while.
Did you do any warm-ups before the race?
Oh, I feel so bad about this. I was supposed to meet up with Denise. I was in the porta potty line, in the slowest moving line out of all of them. And I missed her by like 3 minutes. Like I walk up the stairs and I'm looking for her around the registration tent. And I actually saw her mom. Her mom goes, "Erica?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, you look just like Denise." So I was like, "You must be Denise's mom." So she's like, "You just missed her. She went off on a run." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to go see if I can get her." And I had no clue where she went. So I just came back and I stood and I talked to her mom for a few minutes. So
Because you did find her, because you sent me a photo.
Yep, I did find her. We were in the same wave, which was nice. And it was so nice to finally get to meet her because we talked during our episode 6 interview, but just being able to actually meet her, it was very nice. She's awesome. And she was ready to go. I was so pumped for her. So yeah, we wound up. She did her warm up run, and I just kind of did some stretching here and there. Not as good of a warm up as I should have had.
She had something in mind.
Oh yeah, she was aiming for that BQ. So I was just gonna kind of wing it. That I did not have the best training cycle this year. I've talked about it here on the pod, but my strength training didn't go quite as planned. I did do the power zone training, but I kind of bailed on a lot of my long runs. And so, you know what? It was just kind of like dusting off the winter cobwebs just to see what would happen. And I'm pretty pumped at how I did. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I got there. I did not get Rockstar parking. I had to park miles away.
Yeah, you took a bus, right?
Rode a school bus. There's funny. Everyone's kind of like on the school bus. Then all of a sudden, everyone's heads turn to the left, and we're all looking like. And I'm like, "What are they looking at?" And there's this old gas station. Gas was $3.55.
That's good right now.
Everyone's like, "What?" Turning their heads like,
That's
"I gotta go."
sad
right?
That's good pricing.
But
right now.
I remember that. Like, I absolutely remember that moment. I'm like, I gotta mention that.
Yeah.
We show up. It was cold. Made my way to the porta potty line just like you. I had a pretty smooth sailing. Got right in. Already took care of everything at home.
Jealous of that.
And then I'm like, you know what? I'm here way too early. I was probably there 45 minutes before my gun time.
Oh, so you didn't even get to stay warm in a car or anything like that. So,
No. And I got so cold. I started to change and I decided bag check. Okay. What am I going to wear? Because if I'm going to wear I'm giving my bag and then I'm going to get super cold.
Yeah.
So I decided to wear my running pullover during that marathon, thinking I will get hot and I probably want to throw this thing off.
Yeah.
But we're on a rail trail. It's going to be a lot of shade. And I'm happy I wore it because even though I got hot and I got a little sweaty, I was lucky I had it because there were some times that wind came, especially after the turnaround.
Oh, yeah.
There were some times.
Oh, that headwind was gnarly. I was so bummed about that. I had to deal with it twice.
It happened right when I turned around. I'm like, oh, no.
Yep.
That course, by the way, reminded me a little bit of Mount Tremblant.
Really?
Yeah. So Mount Tremblant is hilly. It's 2 sections. You got some hills, which is like the hill at the very end of the course.
Oh, my God. That was
It's like, why do they have to throw that in there? But then also rail trail.
Yes.
Now, Mount Tremblant was 3 miles of rail trail, turn around 3 miles back, so 6.
Okay.
And then the other 3 miles on each loop was the hills. and he did it twice. Oof. So, yeah, I was like, why couldn't you just go another quarter mile on that rail trail, then turn around? Why do we have to go and add that hill?
It's cruel and unusual punishment. That's what that is.
And when I made that turn and then went in my next left, I'm like, oh, my God. I got a third of a mile to go in this gigantic hill to climb.
Basically, yeah. Oh, man.
They want everyone to earn it.
Oh, definitely. I had a really good first half of that race. I did take those new Alpha Flies for a spin. I definitely think that those are like a half marathon shoe, not a marathon shoe. Just my little review on the Alpha Flies. They're very, very narrow, and I have slightly wider feet. So, yeah, those are going to be half marathon shoes, and I'm going to go back to the Vapor Flies for longer races.
All right. So how was your time?
I am pretty pleased with how I did. I had a little iffy moments in the second half here. I actually... Can I put this in there? I felt sick to my stomach on the second half.
You can absolutely put that in, this in there.
So I guess you could kind of call it a code brown. I did what I like to call verps, which are those vomit burps.
Yes. Happens all the time.
I was not feeling good during that second half. So I pushed myself pretty hard in the first half. I did the first half in 1:53, and I was feeling good. And then my body, I just couldn't figure out like what I needed, whether it was like more water, more food, fuel. Like it was just not happy with me. So I did have some very uncomfortable moments where I had to walk and be like, okay, don't puke, don't puke, don't puke. So I did not puke. Just did a couple of those nasty burps, but yeah. So total, I did a 4:06.
4:06.
4:06.
Nice job.
Yeah, not bad for winter blues, you know.
Just curious, what's your PR?
My PR for the marathon is a 3:57.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we're not far off.
No.
And that was in the fall.
Yep. And that was in my prime. Oh, I'm telling you.
So you're not far off.
Spring, summer, and fall running are so much better than winter running for me. I'm going to crush, hopefully, what I have in the fall.
Nice.
Because I just do so much better with the warmer weather. I prefer 100%.
So do you remember at the end of last episode, do you remember what time you said I was?
What I think I threw out like a 2:10 for you.
You said, if you want to run with Eric, he's a 2:10. and I don't listen to the pod until later in the week, and I miss things like that when I'm editing it.
Yeah, you get a lot of, you're listening to it often.
I turned the pod on when I was on the school bus on my way down, but on the school bus, I heard you say it, and I go, WTF, I'm not going to run a 2:10.
Hey, that was just your other one, but that was like
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a tune-up run.
It was a tune-up run. That was an easy run.
More in shape.
I will tell you, after that run, I felt great. After this run, like we said, I was sore because I pushed a little. I wanted to go sub 2. I ended up being 2 hours and 50 seconds.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So
right on the cusp.
Right on the cusp. It maybe would have been a sub 2 if I didn't have that freaking hill.
That was the worst.
I know.
Oh, man. I got to give a shout out real quick to Millennium for doing this race because although I don't like multiple loop courses, it was really cool to get to see everybody, like your friends as they're running by. So that was really fun. Like I got to see Denise a few times. I got to see you. I got to see Rachel. I got to see our friend Katie from She Runs This Town.
I saw my friend Paul, and I love giving the high fives. That was fun that we weren't that we passed each other. You and I passed each other twice.
Yep.
You probably passed Denise 4 times.
I did see her 4 times, I think, yeah.
Yeah. I saw, shout out to Paul. I saw Paul after he finished ahead of you guys, and I was chatting with him. He's from Sandown, my hometown.
Yep.
2 miles from where I grew up. And he is doing a couple ultras this fall and winter.
Ooh.
He's doing one in Florida from Jacksonville, Florida to Daytona, 100-miler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You need to tell him to reach out to me because I have that 100-miler, a 24-hour race that I'm trying to reach 100 miles. So if he has any training tips, send my way.
When I told him that you did Anchor Down, they're doing it again, his eyes lit up. He goes, oh, that race sounds amazing. I want to do it so bad.
Well, if he's doing some 100-milers,
he might qualify.
That'll be a qualifying race for sure.
I got one more note. I want to say this. I saw Denise after. Well, we saw Denise after. She is a genius.
Why?
She had a blanket.
Oh, sweet.
She had a blanket ready to go. That was totally clutch. On a day like that, like we're talking legit blanket, not like one of these right here. Not one of those ones they give you at the race or the one that like Addie had, which was like that recyclable grocery bag thing.
Oh, yeah,
She had a legit blanket and
That's
gloves.
nice.
She was ready. She's an experienced marathoner. She knew,
Good on her.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to say that.
See, when I saw you guys, I hadn't even cooled off yet. And we wound up leaving like 10 minutes later. So I didn't get cold at that point.
I'm looking at your ribbon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love this.
Tell me about the typo.
All right. So this ribbon, it's supposed to say I ran 26.2 miles and all I got is this lousy ribbon. Mine has a typo and it says I ran a 26.2 miles. But so I was talking to Denise and she's like, I was just looking at your stories and I saw that you had that typo, but hers doesn't have that. Hers is the grammatically correct one.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yours is wrong and some others
Mine
are right.
is wrong. Yep. But you know what? I love it. I earned that damn lousy ribbon and I'm going to display it with pride because it is funny. And I don't know. I felt really good about that race. So that just is cherry on top.
All right. So we got a great interview lined up today, Erica.
Yes, we do.
We got Megan
Yes.
from Wisconsin. That's my Boston kind of Wisconsin right there.
That was more Boston than Wisconsin.
I know, Wisconsin cheese land. That's all that I know is cheese land, and I can't have any cheese. Megan is going to be awesome. So everybody, I think you're going to enjoy this one. Our next guest is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We were lucky enough to find her through one of our friends on our Wicked Smart Zone team, one of her best friends for that matter. She's the co-founder of the Great Bowel Movement, an avid runner and cycler, and she has a lot to share with us. So without further ado, let's welcome Megan Starshak to On the Runs.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Megan. We appreciate it. So why don't we jump right in? How did you first get into running?
I actually started in 7th grade. I joined the cross country team at my junior high school, probably because I was doing the mile in gym class or something and was like, I don't hate this. And so I joined the team and it was a really great experience. And I continued it in high school, where I got a little bit more serious about it, much more serious than the cotton t-shirts and asphalt track we had in 7th grade. But I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the team. And I'm sure that many of your listeners that have done cross country, especially, it's such a great environment, a great community, just a really tight knit sport and a tight knit group. And it just really became such an integral part of my life.
I'm really jealous I didn't start running earlier. I started fresh out of college. I didn't run like a step before that. I was mostly a soccer player, but I feel like I missed out on the running community from starting that early. So I'm glad you got to experience that.
She's experiencing now kind of what we experienced when we were younger, where you make some of your best friends and you have relationships with coaches at that point that you keep forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of my cross country coaches we still keep in touch on social media, which is pretty special.
Excellent.
And he's followed your journey this whole time, I'm sure of, right?
Yeah, he's I'm gonna get a little gushy for a minute, but he's one of the few teachers / mentors / coaches that really, really cared about his athletes and really knew them. And even how many ever years later as adults, he still checks in, he still tells us he's proud of us. And that just means a lot to have somebody that kind of has been witnessing my journey for so long.
So your journey, let's get into that, because our friend on our Wicked Smart Zone team, one of your best friends, is the reason we connected. And she says you had quite the journey. Tell us about that. I guess start with when things in your life started changing.
Sure. So I was diagnosed with an incurable disease called ulcerative colitis when I was 18. And what's very unique to my journey is that running is tied up in my story from beginning to present, so much that I was out on a run the first time that I ever experienced a symptom, which I believe this community calls the code brown.
Oh, yes.
Or maybe not quite a full code brown, but it was senior year of high school, spring break. We're down in Florida, coming from the Midwest where it's cold. We go for a run on the beach, my best friend and I, who I'm still friends with to this day. And it's like a half-hour run, so it's like not that long. And all of a sudden, I have to go worse than I've ever had to go in my entire life, out of nowhere. Thank God we find a bathroom. It's a really loose stool, totally unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, well, I'm really glad we found a bathroom. Let's get back to our run. And like 10 minutes later, it happens again. And I'm like, well, that's really weird, because you usually, once you go to the bathroom, like you're empty. And And that's just how it goes when you're a grown up.
Right.
So I get back to the condo we were staying and I had to go yet again. So that's 3 times within 30 minutes that I had these really urgent bowel movements. So super weird, but being an otherwise healthy at the time 17-year-old, I was like, well, this is an anomaly. It's a bug. It's something. It'll go away. There's nothing to worry about. But that was not the case, and that was a turning point in my entire life.
Oh no. So get into that. Tell us a little bit more.
So I get home from spring break, and it's sort of something that at that time it was an inconvenience, which I think a lot of patients, it's a lot at first, and it's just like this really big thing. But for me, it didn't feel like such a big thing until I kind of got a couple months down the road with it.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of increasingly got worse until my mom noticed, and thank God for good parents, because I was totally of the like, I'm fine, I don't need anything group. I'm like, I got this. And my mom's like, I think you need to see a doctor. So I went to her doctor. I had a couple of blood tests. I had a colonoscopy, and I got diagnosed right away with ulcerative colitis, which is an inflammatory bowel disease, very similar to Crohn's disease, which I think a lot more people have heard the name Crohn's than colitis.
Your dad has Crohn's, right?
My dad does have Crohn's, yes.
And one of my, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but a really, really great friend of mine from when I lived in North Carolina has Crohn's. And your Great Bowel Movement page, she follows it.
Oh, awesome.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, no way. Cool. Okay, cool. But yes, back to when you were diagnosed.
Yeah, it was, there's so many emotions that surround a diagnosis, and especially being a bowel disease. So one thing that I explain to people is that it's a digestive disease, yes, but it's really an immune system disease. So it's a lot bigger than just something like IBS, or even maybe like a food allergy, where you can just be like, avoid trigger foods and you'll be fine. It's really comes from your immune system. So that's what makes it kind of confusing and hard to understand and hard to manage. And that was the summer that I was going into college for the first time. And I don't want to say that there's ever a good time to be diagnosed, but this was not a good time.
Where did you go to college?
I went to college at Marquette University in Milwaukee.
Are you a Milwaukee born and bred, or?
I'm from Chicago suburbs. So I just went about an hour away. It was a nice distance away, but far enough that I kind of had my own life. And
say that was the same for you and me.
That was.
We went to college together, but probably an hour north. In Plymouth, New Hampshire. You'd find us back in the 90s in Playboy magazine. They rated us number 1 party school in the nation. Not a big deal. But yeah, no, very similar to us. We didn't want to be, I'm guessing, don't want to be speaking for yourself, Erica, but too far away from home, but far enough away where we could live on our own and do our own thing.
No, it's perfect. That's exactly it.
But you're going to college as a freshman, dealing with this for the first time. It's only been a few months. You want to get into that? It
was not easy, obviously. And like I said, it's something that kind of crept up on me, which is not always the situation for people. And I definitely wanted to hold on to running because that was such a part of who I was. I mean, that was my friend group. That was my identity. That was my fitness and my health. And it was my stress reliever. And it was just so much, as I'm sure you can relate. Like it's so much a part of you. And I didn't run like NCAA. So I joined the crew team, like the rowing team, which is a club sport. And that was really fun. And similarly, a really great group of people. But it's so physically intense that I'm, trying to get acclimated to college and make new friends and go on adventures and, keep up with schoolwork and fitness and be on these teams. And I just couldn't handle it. So I'm trying to do all of this and also be like a normal person. You can see my air quotes because there is no normal.
Yeah.
But, just to have like that typical college experience. Meanwhile, everything is just kind of ramping up and getting worse and worse. Meanwhile, my doctor's back in Illinois and I had just really got set up with him. So we didn't have that medical team relationship in place yet. I'm also learning about this myself. So I'm not a shy person, but I didn't know how to communicate it because I just didn't like have that language for it yet. So it was really difficult to build up a support system to tell people, hey, this is what it is. This is what I need. This is how support will really help me get through this. So it was a very isolating experience. I really tried to hold on to running and to crew and just had to come to terms with letting go of those for a long time, for years actually.
Yeah.
And I think that crew is one thing because a big part of my disease was urgency, among other things. There are a lot of things, but the feeling to go to the bathroom could come at literally any time, like no rhyme or reason. And I would have to go right now, like nothing else in the world mattered. And so when you're in a boat with other people, like you simply can't risk that. But running was a little harder because runners poop. Like it's like a part of it. And so to explain to people, especially like all of these friends running buddies that I knew, to be like, well, I can't run anymore because of this disease. And that you could see in their eye, they would not understand. Like you can physically move your body, move your legs. Like it's not like a broken leg where I'm
physically
like
can't,
like muscular skeleton. Somebody can spell that for me. But it was so intense that the motion of running would trigger whatever feeling that I would have to go to the bathroom. So I would make it maybe a couple of blocks, find a bathroom, go again, couple more blocks, maybe an eighth of a mile, and I'd have to go again and just again and again. And it doesn't make sense how your digestion works that way, but that was what happened to me. And it got to the point where I kind of like had a self heart to heart. And I said, I need to stop this. I need to really focus on taking care of my body and my disease and do what I can to manage that and stop trying to hold on, because then nothing really is satisfying and nothing's really healthy. And that was actually more emotional than I expected. And I think more emotional than other people understood, because it's giving up a huge part of yourself. I was Megan the runner, like that's who I was, and coming back, and how do you fill that gap?
Yeah, you have to rediscover yourself at that point. Yeah, that's tough.
What year was this, by the way?
Oh, so you're asking how old I am?
Oh,
cardinal rule, man.
From now on, Erica's going to ask that question.
I don't even think I'm allowed to ask that question.
I was diagnosed in 2002 when I was 18. So I have had it now
the same age,
20 years, which is kind of weird to think about. I've had it for more than half my life, and it is something that it will never go away short of a cure, which hopefully will happen in our lifetimes. But
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about your journey to remission, because you're in remission right now.
Yes, I have been blessed to be in remission for must be like 14 years now, which is also a long time, like a very, very grateful long time.
Yes.
So I will give you the short version of the story. So I ended up switching doctors a couple of times. First time to find a doctor in Milwaukee where I was kind of getting settled. Second time because that doctor was not doing a good job with treatments and treatment options and just kind of keeping up on science and what was coming out in terms of new research and new options. So I ended up switching to the Medical College of Wisconsin Research Hospital, which is fantastic. And I remember going in for the first time, and I was just feeling just drained, like just so empty and in so much pain and just tired of emotionally, how am I going to handle this for the rest of my life? And I went in and we kind of talked about my medical history and my symptom history and timelines and this and that. And the doctor looks at me and he says, you're 24 and you deserve to live your life. And we're going to figure out if something's out there, we're going to find it. And I cried because it was the first time that I felt like I could feel hope again. And also the first time that I felt like a doctor had looked at me like a person and not just a list of symptoms or a medical journal or something, like he understood that it wasn't about just treating the disease. It's about allowing me to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to your doctor, because
this the
that's
same-
so important.
Is he the same doctor in the PBS feature I watched?
He is the same group. That doctor has moved on, but like that's the same. It's like the same department.
Awesome.
But yeah, I have such a good relationship with my doctor. I'm really lucky. So started with this new doctor, and I tried a couple of different treatments and nothing totally worked. And we got to what was then the very last treatment that was approved for ulcerative colitis, which is, I don't know if you want to say brand names.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So
We have no sponsors yet.
He started me on an infusion medicine, so an IV medicine called Remicade. And sitting in the office again after a couple months of trying this and that, and he was explaining to me that this thing was out there, and I had heard a couple of people that had been on it and had really good success. And then he said, it's this, and if this doesn't work, then we're going to look at surgery. And I started crying again and he was like, oh, don't be afraid of Remicade. And I said, I'm not afraid of Remicade. I'm afraid of it not working. And then that's it. Like my toolbox is empty. Now here we are, so many years later, there's many more options on the market, which is really great for patients. But I started on Remicade, and it was literally a couple days after my first infusion that I woke up and I just felt different. And the first thing that I can remember is feeling more focused. Like I woke up and I just felt like everything was like a little more on track, if that even makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like that total exhaustion was gone. I was like maybe normal exhaustion. I didn't wake up running to the bathroom for like the first time in ages. I just felt like a little bit more fresh.
Okay.
And actually at that point, so that was in the fall of whatever year it was. It was in October or November. I'd kind of been trying to figure out the next steps of my life too. I woke up, I was like, I want to go to MBA school. I started the process, taking the GMAT, studying, getting all the transcripts transferred, all this stuff, applying, and I got into MBA school. And it was like this really fast track to start in January. And then I finished the program. And again, I was driving home and just like thinking about after my very last class, we didn't have winter graduation, which I was like also sad about. So I'm driving home from my last class of MBA school and I'm crying again. I'm actually not a crier. I'm just telling you like all of the times that I've cried. And I'm thinking, I'm like, and most people are probably thinking like, oh, I worked really hard. I'm really proud of myself and thank my parents and thanks mentors. And I'm like, I couldn't have done this without Remicade.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing that allowed me to do this big thing and to stop having to like spend all this time and energy and like emotional energy managing my disease, and I can focus it on something that's, arguably more productive in life. And that was kind of the big first thing that I remember about being in remission and being able to see that shift of where I put my energy and where I put my passion and my focus.
That's fantastic.
So this happens. Your life is changing again for the better. Eventually, you get to running again.
Yeah. So I'm going to back up just a little bit because I had to break up with running, which is really hard. But through that, I found cycling.
Mm-hmm.
And cycling really was a great option because it's less stress on your body. You can do a really hard cycling workout. Don't get me wrong.
Still
like
low impact.
Tour de France athletes are some of the most crazy talented athletes in the world, but you can go out on a bike and it's just a little bit easier. You don't have the bouncing. You don't have always like the tension in your core and your abdomen in the same way. So I was able to get into cycling and kind of get that cardio and endurance and also community. And it was just easier on my body. And the other thing on a bike is you can kind of pack a pack. So it can throw in like toilet paper and wipes and hand sanitizer and even like a spare pair of shorts and just be a little bit more able to manage anything that would come up. But I did eventually get back to running, but I'll tell you my cycling story.
Yes.
This is my Code Brown story. So I signed up for this charity bike ride. It was called Get Your Guts in Gear. It was a really amazing event. It's no longer in existence, but the legacy definitely lives on. So I'm doing a training ride, and I had met my boyfriend at that point. We're still together, and I'm doing a 40-mile training ride, which sounds like a lot maybe to runners. It's like a medium ride.
Yeah, you know more than I do.
I'm big into
He's
cycling
big into
as
it.
well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's following me in his car, which is really great because I'm still not totally healthy at this point, and it's just nice to have that support. We're checking in every couple of miles, and he's got water, and he's got some energy things. And so we get to this point. He gives me a mango goo, which I still remember. And I was like, well, I haven't had this flavor before, so maybe I shouldn't. But I ate it anyway, of course. And immediately I'm like, I can already feel it. Like, I can already feel this is not going to end well. So we're in Racine, Wisconsin, and he takes off in his car, and I'm pedaling along, and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom right now. Like right now, as soon as I can possibly get to the bathroom. And I pull up on there's a McDonald's and there's a Kmart in Racine, Wisconsin. And McDonald's usually has nice bathrooms, but I didn't want to leave my bike outside because,
just in case, yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, maybe Kmart's going to be the better option at this point. And I don't know, texting, whatever. I'm calling Andy, and I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what's happening. And we had maybe only been dating for a couple months at this point.
What an introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he pulls up in his car. We put the bike in the car, and I told him in so many words, I'm like, I had an accident. I didn't make it. I'm going to go inside. Just keep your phone on you. So I go inside the ladies' room in Kmart, and I start cleaning myself up. And I call him from the ladies' room, and I tell him, I'm like, you need to go buy me clean underwear, go buy me clean pants, and walk them into the women's bathroom. And like, I need that right now. And it was, thank God it was him. Again, I'm not super shy, but that's kind of a big ask.
Right.
And he did it, and he was just so supportive. And I remember like going out for Italian food after and just eating an entire loaf of bread, and it was the most delicious bread. But it was, and he told me after, he was like, well, I tried to understand what this disease is like, but then seeing that and like seeing you go through that, like I really got it. Like, this is a serious disease and a big deal, and this is what you live with. And I was really grateful actually for the introspection that he understood a little bit more.
It's a great story. He had no fare going into that women's bathroom at a Kmart. I love that. He's a keeper.
I'll keep him for now. It's only been like over a decade.
Yeah, I think you're stuck with him now.
Yeah, we're stuck. That's it's not a running story, but that's my cycling story.
No, we love all Code Brown, so that's perfect. It fits right in.
I was just going to say, I'm a big cycler too, and we go on some of those rides. We do some sensory rides, and at some point, it's like we're riding, and you see like in the distance a porta potty. Like, I should probably we should just make a pit stop. We call that like a quick, like, okay, we'll stop there. That's our break.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like, I don't know. When you're living with inflammatory bowel disease, this is just part of it, just nature of the beast. So like, I've had accidents as an adult, which is really, it's so horrible at first. Like, it's so mortifying to think to yourself, like, I just did something that as 2-year-olds were taught not to do, and nobody understands that I can't like just hold it. Like, that's not a thing. And in the beginning, like the first time you have an accident, you're like, you don't even want to tell anyone, and you don't even really want to like think about it. And then the more it happens, not like you want it to happen a lot, but it happens, and eventually you learn to just clean it up and just keep moving forward. And it's just like such a good metaphor for life of shit happens and you clean it up and you don't let it stop you.
Nothing,
love that.
nothing a shower and some laundry, clean laundry could fix, right?
Yep. Shower, laundry.
Mhm.
When you were going through this, did you develop so when we go running for a long run, anything longer than an hour, we'll pack wet wipes or something. We'll be prepared. Did you have to always be prepared every day, have clean laundry to go with you wherever you went?
Yeah, when I was going through a lot of symptoms, and which my symptoms were active for 6 years, basically, I usually would have clean underwear, hand sanitizer, wipes, the whole thing with me in my purse, in my car, at my desk, at work. Just kind of always have a backup.
Mhm.
But there are also times where I didn't have a backup, and I just would run into Target, buy clean underwear, change in the bathroom, and be on my way.
All right, so now back to the question I asked earlier, running. You
Yes.
had quite the running journey once you figured this thing out.
Yeah, it took me a while to really believe that remission was real and it was sticking around. And then, per my nature, I signed up for a Half Ironman triathlon.
Oh wow, you
I
jumped right in. Holy shit.
decided, I was like, well, I already kind of have biking. Like biking's manageable, so that's fine.
Mhm.
But I wanted to also set the goal high enough that I knew I had, like, I couldn't half-ass it. I knew that I had to be diligent about training, and I knew how to be diligent about taking care of my body and watching my health and really just having everything done right. So I think that was in 2012. And that was like the first time that I had ever run over 10 miles and then 11 miles and then 12 and a half marathon, which is part of the triathlon. And I think that was really the point for me where I was able to do that. I was able to do that without having my disease get in the way. So I felt then really stable, but like I felt back. I felt like,
Good.
okay, this is me. This is who I started out as before this disease got in the way. And I'm never going to be the same person because with a disease like this, and anything that big changes you. But I just felt like I got to grab hold of something that was important to me that had been taken away. And it was just an incredible feeling.
I have a quick question. So
Yeah.
when you were training for your Ironman, were you still doing the infusions or did those stop once you were in remission? Like how often did you have to do those, the infusions?
The infusions still happen. They
okay.
are.
So that's what's keeping you in remission then, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also a weird thing is people always like, well, if they work, then I have to stay on them forever. Like if you get to stay on it means you're working. It means you're healthy. I mean, it means it's working. It means you're healthy. But it's also, on the other hand, like there's no finish line to disease. So
right, yeah,
it just keeps going. So I am on those every 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. So at least they're spaced out enough, and you can still go on with your business. And
Yeah. Yes.
That week you're on it, do you have to do like a taper that week or take it easy, or are you good to go the next day?
I don't. Everyone's a little different. I will definitely say that. Some people will take a day or two easy. Some people, like me, again, I'm very lucky. I feel almost no negative effects.
that's great.
So how'd that Ironman go?
It was a half Ironman. I don't want to take credit for
The half
something
Ironman,
I didn't do.
Hey,
At that
it's a
time,
big accomplishment. I've done 3. I've done
well, that's
3
one and
halves
a half
and 1
full
full.
Ironman. So
Yeah.
you're like there. My goal that year was to just not come in last, and I came in not last.
Great.
It was really just about.
Congratulations. Round of applause. I hope it's the right one, right?
Nice.
It was really just about enjoying the experience and just appreciating the fact that my body was letting me do this because it hadn't for so long. I think that one thing that people outside of chronic illness don't realize, and it all comes from a good place, but people like to tell you that you can always find a way. And I hate to tell you that you can't always find a way. Sometimes the way looks very, very different. And it's not a matter of just trying hard enough or just having the right attitude. Like I couldn't run for years, and it took a lot of emotional effort to get back into it and to allow that back in my life. And so even now people ask me, like, well, how do you run? Like, what are your tips if running through a flare? I'm like, I didn't. I found an entire other sport, and that's what got me through.
So I'm excited about the triathlon part of this because I'm the triathlete of the two of us.
Mhm.
Erica
Okay.
will eventually be a triathlete. I will make it happen.
Debatable.
Oh, I'm selling a bike, Erica.
Yes.
Talk about it later.
Oh, boy.
So, triathlon's 3 sports, of course. You already got the cycling down, running you had down, you're getting back, but swimming, how'd the swim go?
Oh, swimming was like, let's just get through this. Like, let's just finish.
Exactly. Once you get through the swim, I feel like I'm good. I got this, but I gotta.
Yeah.
That before the swim is like, got those nervous peas.
That's what I'm nervous about. That's what's holding me back from doing a try is because I don't swim well, and I would have to doggy paddle my way through the how many mile swim? Half mile? I don't even know.
1.2 for a half Ironman.
Yeah, that sounds awful to me. So, kudos to you guys for sure.
The wetsuit though, like the wetsuit is a lifesaver.
Yeah, absolute game
it helps
changer.
you float, and then you just have to worry about going forward. You don't have to worry about going forward and not drowning.
That's good to know.
I did a half Ironman last summer, and the night before, I left my gym. I left my goggles at the gym. I had to go to Walmart at 9:00 at night as I was getting ready for bed, and I bought the cheapest. Well, they were the cheapest, but they were also the only goggles they had that weren't kids' goggles. And about a minute into my swim, they were killing my eyes. Water was getting in. I thought I was going to bail, and I had to recover for about 3 minutes. And I grabbed a kayak, and the guy's yelling at me, "Don't tip me over!" And I'm like, "I need to just fix my goggles. Give me a second," because I didn't even get to do a warm up swim with them just because of the setup and everything and all the pro women. But once I got through that swim, just like we said, I got on the bike. I knew I was good. I just had to survive the swim. Which I've gotten better
exactly
at.
How I feel. And for anybody that's even like thinking about doing a triathlon for the first time, like overwhelmingly people hate the swim. Like you've got this small percentage of people that love swimming or are good at swimming and have like the knowledge to train in swimming because it's a little bit different. So if you're thinking about it, like you just have to get through the swim. Like you're fine.
And there's a lot of great triathlons. I don't know about Wisconsin, I'm sure, but they're called sprints. And the one here in Nashua, the Nashua Sprint Triathlon, I remember having friends trying it, and they just want you to enjoy the event and finish. So Jason had 2 noodles. They gave him noodles to swim with to keep going. And he had the wetsuit. But it wasn't like, it's not like you're trying to qualify for Kona and it's like you're getting DQ'd. No, the point of that race and some of the smaller ones are to enjoy it, to get people into the sport, and to get more people doing it.
I'll do it with like a flamingo floaty or something. Like
there you go.
Doggy paddle my way.
Like you're not going to win with a flamingo floater, so I don't think they care. I don't know.
They just
That's a selling point.
You can come in last and like look adorable and be in your floaty.
That is a straight selling point for me. So if we can make that happen, I'll consider it.
And like in transition, like you don't need to have the fastest transition time. You can throw in your sparkly running skirts and your outfits that everyone on Instagram votes for. She just did a half. No, not a half. She did a marathon yesterday, and we did a little Instagram. What outfit should she wear? Poll. Yeah.
Cool.
Pink sparkly.
You can eat a sandwich in transition if you want to.
Ooh, that's even better.
Yeah.
So you went from half Ironman that you did not finish last in to now you were going to make an attempt at qualifying for Boston.
Yeah. So I really, again, I felt like running was back. Like I was back and I could raise my goals a little bit from finishing and not finishing last to really kind of setting some higher goals and going after them and training. And it just felt so good to be able to like attack something like that again. So I did half marathons for a couple of years, which are super fun. I paced a couple, which also was a really fun, rewarding experience. If anybody out there is thinking about that, I love pacing. I love helping other people reach their goals. And then I did my first full marathon, which was just to kind of do it and experience it.
Which one did you pick?
The first one I did was the Milwaukee Marathon. It was a great experience, just kind of getting that first one under your belt, understanding what exactly 26 miles feels like. It was hilly. I was battling a little bit of an injury, and I finished, and it was great, and I loved it. And it was just a satisfying experience. Actually, I have a good story. Do you want another
absolutely.
story?
Yes,
We love stories.
It's my first marathon, so it's already a big deal because I'm doing this, first of all. but I'm also doing it. It's, my body's letting me do it, and I'm feeling good. I've been feeling good for a couple of years after all of these years of pain and isolation and loneliness. And I'm running with one of my friends whose name is Eric K. Eric Knutson, who Facebook was like, "Are you sure you don't mean?" Eric's wife has Crohn's, so he really understood the whole situation. We're probably at like mile 22. So pretty much when you're like, why is this not done yet? And my friends are out there cheering, and they've been all over the course, and it was just so energizing to see them all over the place. So the point in the course is it's like a paved path, like a bike path, little bit of rolling hills in this stretch of like prairie grass between the baseball stadium and before you get back into the city. And so we're coming to a water station, just kind of cresting this little hill, about to go down into the water station, planning to just walk through it. And it is a loud water station. It is just screaming, so cheerful, so much energy. And I stop and I look at Eric and I say, "I think they're chanting my name." And we get closer, and my friends are there, and they're dressed as unicorns, and they've got the entire water station chanting Megan over and over.
That's giving me goosebumps.
It was a defining moment in this whole journey, because I was like, "Eric, I'm running a marathon." And then I was like, "Eric, I have friends." And I have friends that are out here and like made this moment happen. And I'm like, everyone's going to understand what a big deal running a marathon is, but like not everyone understands the flip side of isolation from disease. And like, to me, that was the moment.
I'm getting a little
something that I will always stay with me, always.
That's amazing.
So I finished that just about 4 hours flat, which I was pretty happy with that.
That's fantastic.
And then I think it was 2 years later, just because of work stuff, I was like feeling good about this. I'm a runner again. And ever since high school, Boston Marathon has been a dream, like so many of us. And that's when I took on the goal of a BQ.
Have you got there yet?
No, spoiler alert. So this is actually I've only done the 2 marathons like in my life. So this was the second one. So then I chose the Lakefront Marathon in Milwaukee, which is flatter. It's supposed to have a tailwind, which it did not this day. And it's a October race, so usually the weather's really nice. And I got a coach. She is amazing. I just, really stuck to the program. I really put a lot of effort and a lot of discipline into this and just went for it. And I had a couple of issues on long runs with GI stuff. I don't necessarily know that it was ulcerative colitis related. Probably a little bit. Just I think that the intensity of training, the intensity of doing that to your body can kind of just get things out of whack a little bit. But I had a couple of long runs where I had a lot of bathroom breaks, not the urgency that I used to have, but still enough to interrupt it. So I think that was kind of a factor. And again, there was a headwind, which I was so mad about. So my goal was, for my age group, it's 3:35. As you know, you have to get under. So my goal was 3:30. It's like a nice, clean, even 8-minute pace. And I was on it for 20 miles and just couldn't hold on.
I know how tough that is. I haven't tried to qualify yet. I'm not quite there yet, but I have
She's on track.
No, I'm not. I have a terrible time pacing myself. I cannot do it yet. I need some real work, but kudos for 8-minute miles for 20 of them. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it felt good for a while. And it was still my second fastest half marathon ever. At my half split, it was, a beautiful day, and my family came out, and PBS did a segment on it, which was super cool. It just, that's what running is. It's like all of these little moments that make up the day, whether or not you hit a goal or miss a goal or fall flat on your face. It's just like you went for something and you can control what you can control and you go after what you can. And there's always going to be factors that are beyond your control. And it's just a matter of dealing.
Well said.
And as you said in your email, you're pretty damn proud of it.
You should be. You should be 100%. That's incredible.
I'm still proud. It just, you do the best you can. And it's still good. I still was like almost 20 minutes faster than my first race.
Wow. That's excellent.
And I got a call out at the finish line, which was super cool. We had pizza afterwards.
Yes.
That's what we literally had yesterday too.
We both had pizzas last night. Oh, I was craving it and I ordered it. Like I first said, Ashley's my wife. I want pizza. And she goes, I have like all this food. And I'm like, fine, you can, cook something. She made kibasi and veggies and rice. It was delicious. And then like 8:30 rolls around, the kids go to bed and I got on that Domino's app and I ordered a pizza for $8 with all the meats on them.
All the meats, no cheese.
Oh, you deserve it.
Yeah, you did too. Great job. All right. I got a couple questions. I'm going to hit you with a surprise one here.
Do it.
Tell me about the Polish posse.
Polish posse.
This is not as a good story as you hope it's going to be. My friend Caroline and I were on the Get Your Guts in Gear ride years ago, and we had another friend that we had met on this ride, and he had a bike jersey and it said the Polish Post. But sometimes fabric gets little wrinkles, and somebody was like, does that say Polish Posse? And then from there on, our riding group just started calling ourselves the Polish Posse, and it just kind of stuck. It stuck for a couple of years. Just one of those fun in the moment things.
Tell me about Caroline. She's one of your best friends. She sent me a picture of the two of you, like just embracing each other. Huge hug.
Caroline is amazing. It's really cool through this disease. Like when you have this life-changing disease that you can't step away from, and then you have an endurance sport kind of overlapping, like those two things in themselves form really long-lasting friendships, and then you put them together and I haven't seen her in years, and we pick up like no time has passed. Hopefully I'll get to see her this fall when I go out east.
Oh, you're coming here.
I am doing the main lighthouse ride for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
Can I get into that?
Yeah.
How do I do that? Okay. All right. Awesome. I have never done. Okay. So I've been cycling. My story is basically I hated running like maybe 2000, the year after my daughter was born. So maybe that summer I had a race and I said, after this race, I am quitting running and buying a bike. And that's exactly what I did. And then Ashley signed me up for a triathlon and I had to run again. But I've never done a group ride. I've never done a group ride more than like 4 people. And I would love to do the Can-Am Challenge or whatever they call it. The
Pan Mass Challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely do that ride. I love riding in Maine. We go to the Nubble Lighthouse quite often. That would be great.
Very cool. I love group rides. This is the difference. One of the main differences, I think, between running and cycling is like running's always a race. You're usually, even if you're up against yourself, even if you're just, I want to beat my PR or I just want to do the best, cycling is different. Cycling is a ride, not a race for most people. And there's so much camaraderie. And when you have like a big, long group ride or charity ride and you're with a group of people for 8 hours on the bike, you talk about anything and everything, and you support each other and you encourage each other. And we used to call it like summer camp on wheels. I mean, it's just, you're awesome. Joking and you're laughing and you're telling your deepest, darkest secrets, and then you're pulling over in the woods to poop, and you're devouring calories because you can. And it's a really great, it's one of my favorite things.
To give you perspective, it's like when you and I would do our breakfast club runs, and we would easily do, 10 miles. It was like one of that, just all day.
Okay.
You go for 8 hours, maybe 6 or so, whatever. You can stop as many times. It's just an all day thing versus we were like, we'll meet at 9, go for a 10-mile run. Dan has breakfast. We go home. We're home by lunch. No, this is all day and it's a blast.
So
and like you don't really pay attention to time or pace, as like you do with running. I think it's just kind of a shift in the experience that way, and it's just fun. I don't know. It's special. You're unplugged from social media. You're just usually out, not usually outside in the woods or wherever you are on the shoreline, and just got 8 hours to be present with the people you're with, and it's awesome.
Are you fundraising for this? You said you were riding for the
I am fundraising for it. I've already met my goal, which is
oh wow,
honestly a big relief.
Excellent. Yeah, I was going to say send us a link and we'll plug it for you. So that's good. But hey, any extra if we can help get you some extra money, that'd be great.
There are I am happy to point you in the direction of some of the other people that are fundraising that could definitely use it.
It might be me.
Yeah, do it. It's the Century. So you go by like 8 lighthouses on the coast.
That's right.
I've never been to Maine. I'm so excited. It's been on my list.
They call it vacation land.
It is a beautiful place.
And we'll get into Wisconsin too, but
Wisconsin's really fun. We don't call it vacation land.
I've been there a few times. I remember a couple things. One, the street signs like that might say exit 42 coming up, or even the stop sign. The poles were 4x4s, pieces of wood. From what I remember, are they still that way now?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Were you in a city or like out in the country?
On the highway. We were going, so we would land probably in Chicago, then drive to Elkhart Lake.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm going to edit that out of the podcast. Tell me about cheese curds.
No more cheese.
Well, there's 2 kinds of cheese curds. There's the deep fried kind, and then there's the fresh kind, which some people call squeaky cheese because if it's fresh, it squeaks when you bite into it.
Every time I would go to Wisconsin, my friend Ethan, his mother, Ethan's from Wisconsin, she would have like 10 pounds worth of cheese curds for me and all the guys on my team when I worked in NASCAR. We would go to Elkhart Lake. It's maybe an hour north of Milwaukee. We would stay in Milwaukee, and we would go to the Brewers games at that Miller Park. We've talked about it before with Dave, but the stadium is gigantic. It's huge.
All right, I just had to look it up. So Wisconsin is technically one of the mittens, right? So I
think Michiganders are going to get mad at you saying that.
Well, I just say that just because of the I'm planning on going to Wisconsin for the Earn Your Mittens challenge. I'm trying to do a marathon in every state. So Earn Your Mittens, which one? Let me see which one's the Michigan. Or no. There's Kalamazoo, that's Michigan, and then which one is Wisconsin? This might take a minute if you want to. Wisconsin Marathon. Woo. Oh yeah. So
I think that's in Madison. It's hillier than you expect.
Oh, this is going to be a shit show of a race if I wind up doing it because it's back-to-back marathons, back-to-back days. So.
Yeah, I think that I remember.
Yeah, I was telling
Let me know if you get out here.
I definitely will. Why don't you tell us about the Great Bowel Movement?
The Great Bowel Movement, I started with my friend Andrea, who I met actually volunteering at Crohn's and Colitis camp at Poop Camp.
Poop
Camp. I love that.
We like to say that it was started to really help people own their stories, have the courage to be more open, have the framework to really communicate a little bit better because of all the struggles that we had been through, but also because of the flip side, because chronic illness is not all bad if you don't let it be. There's a lot of growth, there's a lot of wisdom, there's a lot of friendship that comes out of it, and I believe personally that I am wholly a better person for having gone through this. And so these are all different parts of my story that I think is important for other people to understand. And there's so much misunderstanding with these diseases, and there's so much embarrassment and shame. So we started with t-shirts that literally say, ask me about my colitis, ask me about my Crohn's disease.
Mm-hmm.
We grew into some resources for, here's some ways to tell your story. Here's some ways to address specific situations like work or dating or what have you. And it really grew from there. And the whole point is to take it out of this clinical setting, this clinical conversation, and bring it into the everyday, just like you would talk about running, just like you shouldn't be ashamed to talk about your code browns. You should make it part of your narrative. And there's so much benefit to that.
I love that. That is wonderful.
And that is
You
how
have,
that started. And everyone wants to know how we came up with the name. And literally, Andrea was like, it popped into my head, and we were like, well, this is it.
Perfect.
We're done. We do not have to think on this anymore.
it's a big group. You got over 10,000 people in this group here. And you
Yeah.
got those T-shirts and those pins that say "Ask me about IBD." Like I was on the website recently reading some of the blogs. I remember one talking about cycling and running. So I checked that out. It was pretty great. It looks like a great thing you got going on. Is there a goal or a plan, or are you just going to keep going with what you're doing?
We are actually working on some t-shirt redesigns right now, working with some really talented designers to get a couple more options out. And that's kind of the next big thing for us here.
That's awesome. I really commend what you're doing, just trying to destigmatize. Is that what I think that's how I want to word it? Like make it normal. Well, not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's
not a bad thing.
It's not great to have.
Yeah.
But it should be normal to talk about it.
Yes.
Now, what do you got coming up next for any running or cycling? Well, okay, we know what you're doing cycling wise, but you have any running events you got planned, or is kind of running taking a backseat to cycling?
I don't have any running right now. There's a couple things in my community that are just fun, just because they're local and they're through the neighborhood and stuff. So I'll jump into a couple of those. Milwaukee has, or they used to have. I haven't checked if they're bringing it back. Milwaukee used to have an evening 5K series at the beer gardens. So we've got traveling beer gardens, which is another great thing about Milwaukee.
That's cool.
They go into the county parks with their tapper trucks or whatever they're called. So they did a while ago. They started these Thursday night 5Ks, just pretty casual, pretty fun. So that's been on my radar too. But I've been focusing a little bit more on cycling this year, and I joined a women's team this year too. That I'm pretty excited about.
Very cool.
Growing into being a better cyclist is part being a better bike handler and a better group rider, and so that's kind of my goal for this year.
Awesome.
All right, so we have been asking this question to all of our interviewees.
And sorry to put you on the spot, but
yeah, we meant to email it to you earlier, but that didn't work out.
We're good.
If you had to pick one song that really pumps you up, gets you in the mood for working out, for just life, just being happy, what song would you choose?
I am the worst at this question. I don't listen to music when I run, which is weird because I listen to music at literally every other point in my life.
Well,
running is thinking time. So I don't have necessarily a pump up song, but
just
one
a
of my
feel
favorite
good song,
songs,
anything like that. Yeah, go for it.
One of my favorite songs is a song by Miranda Lambert from like her very first album, and it's called Mama I'm All Right. And for running, it's just got like this really nice cadence of like,
excellent.
you just, like get into the groove, and there's the whole song is about just going for it, and her mom lives in this small town and wants her to stay in this small town and blah blah blah, and she's like, no, there's a bigger world out there, and getting out of your comfort zone and just going for things. And one of the lyrics is, I'm strong just like you prayed I'd be, and that is one of my favorite lines ever, because it is, think about this for a second. It's about, I guess about taking your gifts and your talents and also your drive and your personal like go get itness and finding success and finding joy through that, instead of just waiting for it to be handed to you or like bestowed upon you. Bestowed. I think it's bestowed.
Sounds good to me.
For having it be bestowed upon you, and it's just that's something that's resonated with me ever since I first heard the song, probably in college. I like Miranda Lambert. I don't like any modern pop bro country at all, but she's like one of the good ones still.
But that is a perfect choice. That fits right in with our aesthetic. We love it.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. This was great.
Thanks for having me. This was super fun.
I'm so glad that Caroline hooked us up. I really do hope when you come east, we can meet you and Caroline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a blast because she, as I'm assuming, is from New England, Massachusetts.
Yeah, she's in Boston.
Okay, and we're only 50 minutes north of Boston, so I would love
Cool.
I would love to join that ride with you. Email me some of the info for it, and I'll see if it works out with my schedule, and maybe I can join the team. If not,
Yeah,
I'm happy to be a cheer squad member. So
that's also important.
and if not, maybe I can find time to just do a warm up ride with you on the coast. Maybe I'll take you somewhere different than where you'll be
that'd be
riding.
cool.
Yeah, it would be a blast.
Well, this is like an existing group ride, and so like we're like the charity team for the ride. So you could also just sign up for the ride.
Okay.
Not to discourage any fundraising, loss of fundraising, but
it would be a
but
blast.
you don't have to be a part of this team to do the ride.
I don't have to be a part of the team to join you, is what you're saying, right? I can just join you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I just got to make sure the schedule works out. I got 3 kids, and make sure it works around cheerleading, and then my boys, they're 1, so make sure it works around them and all that. But I would love to. Would love to do that. It would probably be a great training ride. I'm probably doing another Half Ironman in the fall, so
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Do it.
Awesome.
I'm so excited to see that area of the country.
you'll love it. It's beautiful.
You will.
Especially,
Cool.
so you said October is when that is, around that time?
September
September,
10th, I think.
It might be a little too early for the leaves, the leaf peepers, but foliage. There we go. But we'll see. It's still going to be beautiful.
It's fine. You'll love it, and we'd love to meet you.
Yes.
Awesome.
Likewise.
Well, again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Good
this
luck
was so
with everything.
fun.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Megan. It was a blast talking to you, and we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your ulcerative colitis stories and struggles and triumphs.
Thanks for dealing with me because, as you heard at the end, I screwed up more than her, right? She goes, just don't screw up more than Eric. That's the goal, right?
She did great. She did great. Way better than you.
We recorded 5 minutes of that interview, and we weren't even recording.
Yep. So
It's
that's
like, oops.
that's Megan 1, Eric 0.
Anyways, thank you again, Megan. That was fantastic. I say we get to the rest of the pod.
Yes, please. Let's
All
go.
right.
All right, Eric. Let's talk about Sarah's comedy night from Saturday. How much fun did we have?
That's right. It was wicked fun. But if you remember Sarah from episode 8, and if you listen to our recent episodes, we did our little promos.
We gave her a lot of little promos.
We were one of the sponsors of the event. We weren't just the sponsor, but we were one of the sponsors. So we went out Saturday night before the cheap marathon. That
Yep.
was wicked smart.
I only had 2 beers. It was good.
You only had 2?
I was responsible.
I got a picture of you with all these beers and drinks all around you. Like, I think you were hammered.
And 2 of them were mine.
Okay.
Hey, we had a lot of guests there. So your wife, Ashley, was there. Katie and Dan showed up. And
Scott showed up.
Scott showed up. And then I brought Brandon. So we had quite the crew.
We
just
had
us.
we
So
had a full table. There
did.
was maybe, what do you think, 150 plus people there?
I would say it had a great turnout. It was awesome.
The money they raised money by not only ticket sales, but they had raffles, they had a sound auction, they had a live auction.
Oh,
which was,
that was so much fun.
and Brandon was like actively trying to win tickets to that show.
Yeah, he was bidding on. He actually had looked up. He's like, all right, what are these things worth? So he found out what they were going for, and yeah, they were tickets to a weekend of Boston Calling, so that concert series down in Boston.
What
A lot
I
of
was
fun.
upset about was when I finally got my phone out to record him putting his hand up, he's like, it hit a point where he goes, no, not doing it. And I was like, oh my God, just do it one time for content.
Yeah, you missed it, man. But one hand raise isn't worth like $350.
I know. So at the end of the night, Sarah was able to raise $7,391, helping her
Yes.
make her goal. And she can now enjoy this next week before she runs the Boston Marathon, not thinking, oh my God, they're going to charge my credit card thousands of dollars because I
Yes.
missed my goal.
I'm telling you, once you hit your fundraising goal, it is such a weight off of your shoulders. So, Sarah, congratulations. You earned every minute of this. Like, just enjoy yourself, relax, taper, just do whatever it takes and enjoy the entire experience.
And just to remind you all, the money that Sarah fundraised was for her Run for MGH team supporting MGH pediatric patients. So congratulations to Sarah. Like Erica said, I
Yeah.
hope you have an easy, relaxing week. All right, go out there, have a lot of fun in the Boston Marathon. I hope the weather is great.
I hope so too, because I'm going to be out there volunteering. So
Look for Erica at
I'm at the mile 2 Gatorade stop. I'm on apparently the left-hand side of the road, and I'll be wearing a real goofy flamingo headband, among other things. So look out for me, and I'll make sure to cheer for whoever's running. So enjoy yourselves.
We'll have to get a video of that. Have Dan be on like content.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So Sarah, have a great time, all right? Thanks for including us in your amazing night. Everyone, thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at On The Runs. You can email us at ontherunspod@gmail.com. And Erica, Miss369.
Okay.
You remember when that song came out?
You said high school? I don't remember it in high school. Maybe college?
No, it was high school. I remember being at
I can look that up.
off-ice hockey practices doing the stretching, and everyone would be like, to the window, to the wall. Good
It's gonna
times.
be stuck in my head for like the rest of
Good
my life.
times. Good times. 369. That was the greatest number. What was your reaction when you got that number?
Get low. That was exactly what was in my head.
Was it in your head during the race?
No, because I was just focusing on not throwing up.
Well, when I ran by you
Uh-huh.
and I gave you the high five, I was taking a snap of it. I yelled, did he hear me? Yo, go 369.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
It was
I laughed a little bit after that.
It was
but
stuck in my head after that. I wish it was stuck in yours. Oh, so
I
ran
told you
with
it was stuck in my head the whole night before when I was making that Instagram post.
Oh.
Because it kept replaying that same little clip over and over and over again.
369.
Damn, she fine.
Nice
Give it
job.
to you one more time.
Oh, great. That was great. Yeah, well, maybe that will happen again someday. That just worked out perfect. Pretty cool.
Loved it.
High five. Erica, Miss 369, take us away.
Don't forget to stretch.
369.